coming and going, and always too soon. I'm just gonna sit on the edge here. Yeah, why not? Yeah, like I'm sitting on top of the piano. Yeah, draw me like the French bottles, please. Welcome, come in, come in. You guys coming in? You guys in the back, are you here for the next panel? Leaving, coming, or going? Thanks. You coming in? Leaving? Okay, bye. Yep. How you guys doing? Woo! How many people were at the last panel? Nice to know this one. All right, so this panel is Full Metal Alchemist through the eyes of Maes Hughes, right?
Yep. I
will try to address as many questions as I can, although you know Hughes dies quite a bit.
What, like three times?
We'll see. 3 times? 2 times, I think.
Both series and then the first movie. He dies in the first movie,
doesn't he? Die in the Nazi movie?
I could have sworn he got shot.
No, he doesn't. No. Right, so he just dies twice. He's not like Krillin, who dies and dies and dies and dies. Okay, just to let you know who I am. This is Sonny Strait, the voice of Maes Hughes. Also the voice of Krillin on Dragon Ball Z. The original Toonami Tom. It was Lupin III for the Funimation movies. Drossel on Black Butler, you know, London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. That was me. Literally, I believe like 80-something named roles, and then probably hundreds of unnamed roles are named like Man A and stuff like that.
Soldier A.
Soldier A, yeah, exactly. So, I'm also a comic book artist. I've had 20-something books published, and my latest work is, you can see online, it's called We Shadows. If you go to weshadows.com, you can check it out. But this is about Full Metal Alchemist, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I've also been a director at Funimation and a writer at Funimation. So if you have any questions that run the gambit of how to get into these industries or what it's like doing these things, I'll be happy to field any questions. So let's get started. Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much. This is a nice panel. Now here, this is the rule. If no one asks a question, we start here, and this person asks a question, and we go all the way down. So, if you feel bad for the shy people, raise your hand now. And you're a gentleman. Yes?
How do you get into the voice acting business?
Audition. That's the easy answer, right? The difficult answer is you need to get some experience. Most of the people who you're competing against have at least 10 years of some kind of acting training. So if you're in school, are you in school now?
Yes.
Okay. Take theater classes, get into some plays, look into community theater, get as much experience as you can acting-wise, because you've got some stiff competition these days. When I auditioned for Dragon Ball Z, I think maybe 50 people auditioned for that thing. Now we have 300 people that we regularly use, not to mention thousands of people who audition. So you can see the people who really had their chops because they're still there. A lot of people didn't make it, for the 14 years. But, so yeah, get experience, because that's going to pay off in the end. Yeah?
Are you from Arizona, or is all the work in LA?
Am I from Arizona? No, I'm from Texas. And Dallas is where Funimation records. So, luckily, they sort of just came to me. And I was doing a lot of theater in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and Funimation moved to Texas and had open auditions for Dragon Ball Z. I've since lived in Los Angeles, and when I played Toonami Tom, I recorded in Dallas, but they were in Atlanta. We did like a digital patch system. Yeah, in the back.
So when you do the episodes, are you in the same room with the other voice actors, or is it recorded by yourself?
Generally, we record separately. It's one person at a time recording. Occasionally, we do what's called Walla sessions. W-A-L-L-A. And what a Walla session is is you want to get the crowd noises and stuff like that. Sometimes we just get a bunch of people getting shot or whatever. So we'll pack like 5 to 10 people in a booth, just having general conversations, and just not really saying anything, just to get some murmur of crowds and stuff like that, or a bunch of people getting annihilated or whatever. But generally you're by yourself, and that's very difficult if you're the only person. If you're like the first person to record, you've got nothing to play off of, right? So you have to imagine what that character would say the line before you and how to play off of it. I've directed myself. I just directed myself recently on something I can't announce yet. But I asked the engineer if you could can you please read that line before mine, just so I can get a play off of it. And he felt a little on the spot, but he did a good job, and I was able to play off of it really well. Oh, and just to let you guys know about Lupin III, the a woman called Fujiko Mine? Mm-hmm. Funimation got the rights to that just recently, and we are dubbing it, and I am playing Lupin again. So that's all I can say on that. Yeah. But it's awesome. That's all I can say. Yeah.
If you hadn't played Maes, Hughes, and Full Metal Alchemist, who would you have wanted to voice?
I think I was a close contender for Roy. That would have been an interesting Roy, though, right? I want to see everyone in miniskirts. Yeah. Awesome. Oh, Hughes. But yeah, I really kind of nailed the Hughes part, though, because one of the lines that we had to audition with was, "Sorry, but I have a wife and daughter to go home to," right? Like right in his death scene. And that was one of the lines that we auditioned with. And Colleen Klinkenbeard was holding the audition, and she said after I auditioned, "Hey, we're going out for drinks after the audition today. Do you want to come?" And I said, "Sorry, but I have a wife and daughter to go home to." And she laughed, and then she said, she thought about it and went, "Wait a minute, he is Hughes." So that's why she asked me hard. So, yeah. But I think Hughes is probably the best part for me in that show. Yeah.
Did you go out for the drinks, though?
Did I go what?
Did you still go out for the drinks, though?
I did not. Actually, I really did have a wife and daughter that I had to get back up that day. Although I have gone out for drinks with Colleen quite a bit. So, yeah.
What was your favorite Hughes line to say?
My favorite Hughes line is also my favorite line of any anime I've done in 14 years. And that is, "Don't fall on Daddy!" How often do you get to say that? On my anniversary, I say, "Please fall on Daddy," but that's another... all together, right? Yes?
How did you feel about when you found out that Maes was going to die?
Oh, depressed. Because that was such an awesome role. I mean, it's one of my favorites to date. And also unemployed. Not a good feeling. And when they finally aired it on television, Mike McFarlane, who directed that episode, and to his credit, he gave me the script a week ahead of time before I had to record it, because it's such a pivotal episode, right, that he wanted me to be very familiar with it. But when he finally aired, his death aired on TV, he said, hey, Hughes died last night. And I went, "Great." He goes, "Does that make you sad?" And I went, "Well, yeah." And he goes, "I'm going to show you something that's going to cheer you up." And he took me to all these website forums where people were crying because Hughes died last night. And I was like, "Oh, yeah." That's better than going to season 2. That's awesome. Made a nation cry. And if Hughes didn't make you cry, Alicia did at the funeral, right?
Yeah.
How many people cried at the funeral, right? He was. Shut up. Look, it's so sad. I'm still crying about it. Any other questions? Yes?
You said you've done some directing and writing work too. Which do you prefer, doing voice acting or doing the directing stuff?
I would say my favorite is voice acting first, directing second, and writing third. Because writing for anime is a very difficult thing. And I've written for comic books, and it's similar to doing that, except that one different thing, and that is that we have to match those mouth flaps, right? And that's a very difficult thing. And so I equate it to, if you ever wrote poetry, to meter, to a certain meter, well, that's what it's like. It's like you have to write to a meter that's already been set with the flaps. But every line is a different meter and a different thing to say. So it's like every line you're writing is poetry, You're trying to say this in a different way, which is what poetry is, right? And you're trying to make it match a meter. So it's a very, very difficult thing. It's fun to do, but out of the three, it's the hardest to do. Yeah?
Do they ever just edit the mouth flap for redubbing? You have to lip, or you completely lip lock?
Sometimes we do what we call cheating, right? Like, if the way we're saying the line sounds better than actually trying to match those flaps, then we'll cheat it a little bit, you know, and like, okay, just let those extra flaps go, right? Usually, like, there's, like in the middle of the line, there's like an extra double flap or something like that, you know, but as long as it ends on time, it's fine, you know, but we try to match every flap, you know, just like a puppeteer, right? Occasionally. Oh, you mean take out the line?
Take out the flap, like edit.
No, we stick with the flaps that are there. Yeah, that would be a legal nightmare for us to take out anything that the Japanese have already done. Any other questions? Gonna start over here if we don't have any questions.
You don't want my question.
What's your question?
What's the 46th digit of pi?
I don't know. What is it?
I don't know either.
The world may never know. I think it's written down somewhere. What is your question? Ask another. No, I'm just kidding. What's your question?
Have you ever drastically changed a character's personality between English and Japanese?
I don't think so. I mean, we really try to stick to the intention of the character. We may not stick with the voice of the character, but you try to get the attitude. Like Krillin does not sound anything like the Japanese Krillin. It's voiced by a woman. It would be impossible to. And that being said, you can still get the attitude of Krillin with many different voices. The original Krillin in this country was recorded in Canada like 15 years ago. Do you guys remember Ocean Group's version? Mm-hmm. See, Krillin had, and I got the part because I could imitate him. And he sounds like, it's up here. Hey, you guys, let's go. Come on, you know. And after I got cast, the director at the time was Barry Watson, a real Texas man. And he said, you know, that sounds just like Terry Clausen's Krillin, but I hate that voice. I went, really? Well, you cast me because I could sound like it. He goes, I know, but let's do something different with him. Well, what do you want? He goes, well, Krillin's a midget, but he's the world's strongest human being, too. I went, huh. So you want like a tough midget, huh? So I thought about it, and Popeye the Sailor has always been my favorite character of all time. So I just thought, I'm going to use this opportunity to play Popeye. And I said, how about Popeye on helium? And he's like, well, what would that sound like? And I said, I don't know, something like this. Come on, guys, let's go! And he went, oh, yeah. use that. So I actually got to be the first person on Dragon Ball Z to make the voice the way I wanted it to be. And then I went back and read the manga and solidified the character even more with me. So it's not just Popeye, it's like, you know, because he really has an interesting take on life, you know, and I can feel who he is because I read the manga and I heard a voice in my head, and that's who he is. But sometimes he gets into that Popeye. And as a matter of fact, like, I do, especially when I do theater, I try to fill in the blanks of what's not in the script and the history of this character, and I'll write out a little essay about it. Well, for Krillin, I'll give you the essay of what's going on with him in his past. I filled in the blanks. Now, we know he came from a monastery, like Shaolin monks. You know, it's this world's equivalent to the Shaolin monks. But we don't know how he got there. We don't know who his parents are. Here's what happened. Popeye the Sailor was sailing across an Asian coastline, and he goes into this little port and knocks up a lovely village girl who didn't have a nose. And, but you know, Popeye's really ugly. He doesn't have an eye, so it's like, okay. And so he leaves, doesn't realize that she's pregnant. She, in her shame, takes the baby to the monastery and drops him off. Now, here's what I think. If Krillin would ever just eat some spinach, he could go Super Saiyan even though he's human. It also explains Krillin's hairline a little bit. Any other questions? Yes?
Have you heard and seen 4-star Krillin? What do you think?
I love Team 4 Stars version. I think the Krillin own count's most brilliant thing ever. But I've told them this. I've actually spanked them. I was at a convention with them in Detroit, and I spanked all of them with a yaoi paddle. Yeah. Well, they had to come in. But I say this over and over again, if you could hear our outtakes on Dragon Ball Z, you'd realize that they don't go far enough. If anything is open to be made fun of, it's Dragon Ball Z, right? And I said, look, if I was contractually allowed to do this, if I was doing a parody of it, the first episode would be nothing but bathroom stalls and the legs of the Z Fighters underneath. And you just hear, like for 30 minutes. And then like flushing. And that would be episode 1. So I'm saying there's room to develop here. This could actually be a high-class animation. Yes?
Do you do anything special to like get in the mood of the character? Like say, like you're having a good day and then you have to go and record like Hughes like confronting lust or something, and like you have to get into that mindset.
You know what's weird though? I mean, you're asking if I get like into a sad state because I know I'm going to die, or a tough state because I have to battle or whatever. Generally, what we're doing in the moment is different than what we do out of the moment. You know, like some of the most tear-jerking scenes are outtakes we're laughing hysterically. Right? And like even like I just did Usopp doing some of the most emotional things I've ever seen any character do, and I actually was crying. I was actually crying in the booth, and it never happened to me before. But afterwards, I was laughing like hysterically, and I was laughing right before the line. But during the line, when you're in that moment, and I read a book a long time ago. It's called "Acting: The First 6 Lessons," and I recommend it to anybody who wants to be an actor. But it talks about acting for one line at a time, you know, and how difficult that is to get into that moment, just that one line moment. And what is suggested is that you use an action verb as your motivation. So if the line is, I'm going to the store, right? So let's say the action verb would be kill. I'm going to the store, right? It changes the way you say it. Or if it's love, it's like, I'm going to the store. I really am. I'm going to the store. And you could go with me. We're going to the store together. You want to go to the store? Let's go to the store. We're going to the store, guys. This me and this lovely redhead here. But it really helps, though. If you're in the booth and you just write out a quick action verb, it helps you get into that moment. But I forgot what the question was, so I hope I answered it. Yes?
Does doing Maes at all help like cheer you up at all if you were ever down? Like since he's always so freaking happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to have a good time when you're doing Maes, except when he dies. That's very sad, depressing. But generally, yeah, he is a joy to perform, you know. I mean, and I like characters that have a range in their vocal range, you know, because I believe human beings have a range. Well, some people speak like this all the time, but I don't. So I like characters who are like, oh yeah, hey, look out! And it's deadly serious, you know, later. So I mean, yeah, he definitely is a peppy character, and he definitely cheers me up when I got to play him. Yes, in the back.
Which series did you like playing Hughes in more? The original or Brotherhood?
Well, I'll tell you, there was so long a span between Brotherhood and the original that I was just happy to be doing him again, you know. But the only sad thing is he dies in episode 9, you know. Like, let's get that over with, you know. But it was really weird because I played him, and then he dies, and I was depressed because, oh man, that was such a cool character, right? And then I get a call from Mike a few months later, said, hey, we need you to come in and do Hughes again. And I went, really? He's come back to life? Is he a zombie? What's going on? He goes, no. It's Lust in Hughes' form, but we need you to read it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I went, oh, that's nice. And then he called me and said, hey, we need you to do Hughes again. I went, oh, what, why? It's a movie, right? And I went, oh, cool, Hughes, that's great. I can't wait to do it. It's like, but he's a Nazi. What? Yeah, he's a Nazi in this. And I went, well, at least he has a wife and daughter, so he's probably like a happy Nazi. He goes, no, he has no wife, no daughter. He's a very sad Nazi. I was like, that's depressing. But it's still Hughes, so I'll do it, right? So I did it, and I was done with it. I went, okay, now it's time to mourn, because Hughes is gone, right? And then Brotherhood came along. Hughes again. I went, oh, awesome, cool. And then he dies. For real. this is the death of Hughes. It is time to mourn him and move on. And then we started getting these OVAs. I'm like, okay, I'm never mourning his death again. I'm just going to keep doing Hughes, and probably I'll come back home at Monday, and there'll be another Hughes for me to read. Any other questions? Yes.
So obviously the voices you use aren't your natural, like, casual voice. Do you ever, like, struggle, like, maybe, like, the same way you maintain an accent, like, while you're doing long recording sessions? Like, do you ever lose it?
There are some characters I can't do very long. Like, okay, Krillin talks like this, right? And I can do Krillin for a long time. But Usopp talks like this. And that's really, really hard, especially considering that the original Japanese voice actor tends to scream every line. And I don't know why. But that show, we stick to the Japanese as close as possible. You guys know that 4 kids had it before us, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not nice. But for whatever reason, the Japanese did not like the direction of it. So they let Funimation cast it. Now what they asked Funimation to do, and this is the first and only time this has ever happened, but they said, take the top 5 voices that you think for each character and send the recordings to us, and then Oda wants a hand in casting the show. So it's actually cast by the creator of the series. So if you say you don't like the way I do Usopp, I'm like, I don't care. Because that's what the creator is hearing in their head. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I can't do him very long. It's hard. You know, it started out, in the early episodes you see Usopp, I mean, he has conversations like this, you know, he's very casual and everything, and he talks, he screams a lot occasionally, but he's, you know, still just kind of like this. But as the show progresses, for some reason, he got into this groove of always talking very loudly. It's tough, except for the really emotional scenes. It comes down a bit. Any other questions? Yes?
Can I hear your best look at my daughter?
Well, I tell you what, Roy, I was at the beach the other day with my daughter Alicia, and I decided to bring the camera along just for fun, you know. And she was wearing a bikini, and I know she's a little young for a bikini, but oh my God, she was so adorable. And I took pictures of her on a rock and in the oceans, and she was petting a dolphin. Oh my God, she was so cute. Now listen, Roy, if you got yourself a wife, you could have a child, and then you could take pictures, and then we'd exchange albums. It would be great. Get yourself a wife. Yes.
I know you said that you wrote comic books. Do you ever wish that they could be voiced like people that you work with? Do you like mentally cast them?
A lot of people, yeah, I actually do. As a matter of fact, I've cast for my friends a lot. 2 of the characters in We Shadows are based on Colleen Clinkenbeard and Laura Bailey, and they kind of even look like her. So, except they're evil in the book, you know, which they're not evil at all in real life. But it was also kind of like, once I put them in the part, it kind of wrote itself because it was like, I know how they would play these characters because I directed both of them. As a matter of fact, this weekend, I created 2 other characters based on Christina and Lauren. You'll see them in book 3. Lauren wanted to be a mermaid, so she's going to be a mermaid. And Christina wanted to be a sphinx. I had neither one in my book is about fantasy, but I had neither one of those kind of creatures in the book, so I decided that would be great. So you'll see them in book 3 coming up soon this year. Any other questions? Oh, but the question was, would I like to see it animated? Yeah, that would be awesome. But it doesn't have to be. Because to me, I love the art of comic books, and that's an art into itself, and it doesn't have to be turned into anything other than what it is for me to love it. You know? Like my friend Wendy Peeney created a series called Elf Quest. Woo! Yeah, woo! And I actually drew 258-page stories for her. And her goal she's been doing this for 35 years, but from the beginning, she wanted to see this as an animated movie or a live-action movie. And so that's always kind of gotten her down a bit that didn't happen. I'm like, are you kidding me? You have the most successfully independent published comic book in the history of comic books. I mean, you've climbed a mountain that didn't exist, you know? And I think past couple of years when she got onto Facebook and people started writing her and telling all these people in the industry saying how much she's influenced them, you know, film directors and writers and other comic book artists. And she went, well, maybe I did do something, you know? But I just love comics. Any other questions? Yeah?
What do you think of the live-action Dragon Ball movie?
think it should have evolved more.
We like to pretend it never existed.
Yeah, me too.
Did you hear about the part 2?
No, that should be great. Maybe Krillin will be in that one. More high school hijinks with Goku and Krillin. Yeah. No. We're not allowed to say anything that hasn't been announced. I know, right? What are you doing here? You get nothing from me. It is so hot in here. Is it me? Okay, good. I gotta air out a little bit. Okay, any other questions? Yeah.
Well, it's like a two-part thing. So first,
Part 1.
First, my friend can't be here right now, but she says that she really loves you as Maes Hughes, and she drew a picture, but she's not here with the picture, but she just says hi. So.
Well, I want you to tell her something from my heart.
Okay.
Hi. Part 2?
Part 2. Have you played the Dragon Ball Z Connect game?
No.
I've just seen people play it, and it looks intense.
Do I look like I do anything kinetic? No. I've not played it. Sounds tiring. Any other questions? Yes.
Do you play video games at all?
Yeah, I play video. I haven't played in a while. I really got into City of Heroes for a long time. And Wizard 101. I like that game. But I play a lot, now that I've got an iPhone, I've been playing a lot of different mini games and stuff. I played one that I had to stop playing. It was a card game. It was like a magical card game. And then as you play it, you know, you get more and you can, you know, boost the back deck and stuff like that. I got so good at this game that after a week, they showed the international ranking. I was number 3. And I went, okay, stop playing this stupid game. You're wasting too much time on that stupid card game. Any other questions? Yeah.
Have you ever worked with a voice actor named Vic Mignogna?
Do I know a guy named Vic Mignogna? No. What does he do? Is he a writer or something?
He's a voice actor.
He's a voice actor? Has he done anything I've ever heard of? I'm totally messing with you. He's the lead in the show that we're talking about. Never heard of him. But I'll tell you one thing. You know what? That's a good question because I had already done Hughes' death, and I didn't know who Vic was. I was at a convention, and I saw him doing a signing, and I went, wow, who's that guy? He looks really popular. And they said, it's Vic Mignogna. And I went, what does he do? And he goes, oh, he plays Ed. And I went, the kid? That dude plays that little kid? Wow, I'm impressed. Yeah. The thing about Vic that a lot of people don't know is that before he comes into a room, this mist enters first. And then is followed by a host of angels, a small host, maybe 4. They come in, and they're singing. And then Vic walks in. If you look at the ground, his feet never touch the ground. It's like 4 inches above the ground. It's so amazing. And I'll tell you this about Vic. He has great taste in cigars. He gave me one for my birthday last year. It was delicious. That's the truth. Yeah.
Would you ever consider doing a female role?
Yeah, I have done a female role. And Lupin III, Lupin tends to imitate characters who are in the movies and shows that he's in, especially in the series of movies that we did. So a lot of times I got to imitate other voice actors that I directed in those shows, right? And Caitlin Glass played it in one of the Lupin movies, and I had to be her in disguise. That was the hardest thing I've ever done, was to try to make a convincing woman voice. I can't even remember what I did. But you guys know who Caitlin Glass is, right?
Yeah.
You know the character Cammy that she plays? The video game? Street Fighter, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah. I am responsible for this, and I'll tell you why. I was directing her when she just started out, and even though she was green and right out of the box, she was still brilliant from day one, right? She just, I mean, like one of the best actors I've seen. And I'm recording her, but her fight scenes were terrible. It just sounded like, ooh, ah. I needed a cigarette afterwards, but it was not what we needed for the scene. And so I said, Caitlin, have you ever been in a fight? And she said, well, when I was in high school, a guy said I had a fat ass, so I slapped him. Okay, well, you're an actor, do some method. Use that anger in this scene. Like if you want to slap that guy who's calling you a fat ass. Okay, I got it. So in Funimation, when you're recording, you hear 3 beeps before your line. It's like beep, 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 kamehameha, right? So we're setting up for the scene, and she's getting ready, and this is what she hears in her headphones. Beep, 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 fat ass. Kicking ass. Like nobody's business. So that's why I say I'm responsible for Candy. Because that would not have existed if I hadn't pulled that out of her fat ass. She does not have a fat ass. I would not say that because she could kick my ass. Any other questions? Hey, Oron High School. I'm in that too. I play Mizuzu, that ugly drag queen. Oh, that's 10 refresher points each. Yay. I know, right? Oh my god, I'm so impressed. He's such a good drag queen.
Yes!
Yes, I am. What is your question in the back? Can I do what? A family rant? Well, I already did a family rant, but I'd be happy to do another one because I love my family so much, and especially my daughter, who is so damn cute. Oh my god, excuse the profanity, but I can't help it. She's so damn cute. How's that? Cool. Any other questions? Yeah.
If you could voice any Marvel or DC superhero, who would you voice?
Spider-Man would be my first choice. I love Spider-Man. He's such a card. I know maybe Doctor Strange. I love Doctor Strange, and I love the Flash. I couldn't do Superman convincing, but I could do a good Flash, I think. I don't think it'd be a good Batman either. Maybe a Nightwing. Yeah. Deadpool? I'd love to do Deadpool, yeah. He's a freak. Yeah! Nice. Now sit down before I kick your ass. Any other questions? Yes?
How much did you play Video Heroes?
Do I what?
How much did you play of Video Heroes?
Okay, here's what happened. I was signed to do a manga for Tokyo Pop, right? It was the We Shadows book that I did now have online. And my lawyer and their lawyer went at it for like 6 months. So while the negotiations were going on, I had a lot of downtime. So a friend of mine said, hey, you should play this game. It was new at the time, City of Heroes. So I started playing this game, and I got so into that game, I would never leave it, And it was so cool about City of Heroes was that you could design the costumes, and it was one of the first games where you could really design the shape and build and costumes of the characters, right? And because the graphics weren't quite as tight as they are today, some things looked like other things, right? So I had a character called the Flaming Penguin who had a gas mask on that was orange, but it looked like a duckbill, right? And he had a black tuxedo and black gloves, and he was short and stout, and he had fire powers. It was awesome. So yeah, I really got into that game. And then finally, when I signed the contract with Tokyo Pop, I took it off the computer. I uninstalled the whole thing because I knew if I had that still on my computer, I would not get anything done. And it takes a lot of work and time to do a comic book. But yeah, I love that game. And sometimes I miss it. Like I'll miss like the streets on it, and I'll be thinking about that street that I was on. I was like, wait, that was from City of Heroes. It's not a place I can visit. Especially now, they've taken the game offline now. It doesn't exist anymore. Cities that are gone. Gone to us. Gone, you hear it? We'll never see these cities again. Any other questions? Yes?
What is your opinion on filler?
What exactly is filler? What's the definition of filler to you? Huh?
Not in the manga.
That's not in the manga? Well, that happens a lot anyway. And sometimes it's not filler. Like the original Full Metal Alchemist, you could call that all filler because it was just, a retelling of the story, right? I don't mind it. I think because sometimes it gives the writers time to produce it. And like right now we're doing One Piece, And you can see a lot of filler episodes that he was just doing to, I love you, thank you. Doritos and Twizzlers. And carrots because I'm unhealthy. Do you have any questions? Any more questions? Yes.
When you're doing the manga, how much of your day does that consume?
A lot. I mean, I'm faster now than I used to be, but it still takes me a good 4 or 5 hours to do penciling and inking of a page.
How much do you get done a week?
Depends on the week. When I was working at Tokyo Pop, I generally did 5 to 7 pages a week. Any other questions? Yes, in the back.
Who is your favorite villain of all time?
That's a good question. I really like Hook, Captain Hook. Who else? There's got to be better villains than that. Oh, Darth Vader's a badass villain. I mean, he used to be before he went, no! I thought that was excessive. Yeah. But yeah, definitely Darth Vader was a badass villain, right? Don Raphael, which is my real name, from the Zorro movies. Yeah, my real name is Don Raphael. Don Raphael Straight, Jr. Yes?
Who was in a
See?
fight? Krillin from Dragon Ball or Aang?
Or who?
Aang. Avatar universe.
Oh, God.
World martial arts.
Krillin would kill him. What? You got some wind powers there? Some water powers? Look at it. Boom! Kamehameha, bitch! Destructo disc! First of all, solar flare! Now you're blind! Dead! That's what you get for being derivative of me. Now grow some hair. I'm the bald guy. Any other questions? Yes?
Have you seen the Team 4-star parody?
Didn't we ask this question?
I wasn't here. So
Oh, you missed it. Yeah, I have and I like it. It's delicious.
you think the Captain Krillin's pretty good?
No. I think that it's like the voice actor for the Krillin went, I can't do that, whatever that is he's doing, so I'm just going to do something else completely. It doesn't sound anything like Krillin the way I do it. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So in whatever little precious spare time that you have, what is it that you enjoy doing outside of all of this? I mean, it sounds like a fun life, but surely there's others.
Well, I mean, general orgies and stuff like that. Pedal parties. Everyone has to be wearing saran wrap. I like to spend time with my family, my wife and daughter especially. Who my daughter now is 19. Yeah, but she was young when I started doing that. And I don't know, I like having friends over mostly. I like having company and drinking wine and talking shit. Yeah.
You have like a catalog of family photos and
Phone. Yeah. And my dogs are in there too. And they're so adorable. I got these little poochies, they're poodle chihuahua mixes. Oh my God, they're so cute. And I have a chihuahua pug mix, a chug. And he is adorable. Although he is giant. He looks like he's got a pug body with a giant chihuahua head. So he has this real alpha male personality because he thinks he's the king of all chihuahuas. And I took him to my mother's house. She has this, she's like 10 acres of land out in the middle of Texas. And they had like 6 black Labrador retrievers, right? And I put my little chug out there with him. And they started following him around, and he was ordering them what to do. It's like, wow, that is a bossy little dog. Any other questions? I have a question. What time is it?
3:42.
What? Is it adventure time? 3:40, is that what you said? Okay, 3:42. Okay, we have time for a lot more questions. Yeah. Yeah, even before I knew it was called anime. I actually had seen Dragon Ball before I was on it. I watched the Dragon Ball when he was a kid, riding around on the cloud. And then I got cast in Dragon Ball Z, and they had a poster of Dragon Ball, but they didn't have a name on it. It was Goku riding on a cloud, and I went, "Oh, I've seen that. What is that?" And I went, "It's the show you're on, dumbass." Oh, wow! I've actually seen it. That's cool. And I grew up watching Speed Racer and Battle of the Planets, and I actually met the voice of Speed Racer a year before he died. Yeah, it was but an honor, to meet him. And he was at a convention in Toronto with me. I was sitting with the staff at lunchtime, and it'd been already kind of a crazy day, So I was drinking whiskey and Coke at this time. And he's sitting across from me, and he goes, "Hey, what are you drinking?" I said, "Whiskey and Coke, sir." And he goes, "Whiskey?" "Yeah, I got a bottle of Jack in my room." Nice. And we were doing an interview for Canadian national television. It was YTV, I think it was called. It's like their Cartoon Network. And they were asking me about my philosophies about acting, and I started talking about acting the first 6 lessons, and Boleslavsky and shit like that. And he goes, "I just do it for the money." And we did a signing together the next day. And when I was a kid, they didn't have Hot Wheel versions of the Mach 5. So I took a Corvette Hot Wheel and I painted it to look like the Mach 5. And I'd try to play with it. Ching, 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 ching. And I'm doing the signing next to him, and he's got all these Hot Wheel Mach 5s, right? That he's selling for $50. And I said, "Save me one. I'm going to buy one of those." And he goes, "Oh, Sonny, here." He just signed it and handed it to me. And I'm like, ching, 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 ching. Here comes Sonny Racer. He's like, it's one of my prized possessions in my studio. I still play with it. And unfortunately, I play with it so much that his signature's rubbing off. I know, right? I'm like, any other questions? Yes?
If you had to be an animal, what animal and why?
A rabbit.
Why?
Because I am Native American on both sides of my parents' both family sides. Alabama Native American and also Choctaw. And I believe that the rabbit is my spirit animal. And I'll tell you this, I am related to Bugs Bunny. Seriously. Because the Creek Indians, right, which is both of those tribes come from the Creek Indians, they believe that at one time the world was covered in a great thick fog, and you couldn't see beyond it, right? But there were these little hands in the fog that would guide you through the fog. And when the fog finally cleared, the hands belonged to Rabbit, sort of the god Rabbit, right? And so at that moment on, Rabbit became the father of their people, right? So Rabbit, the god, is the father of my people. But Rabbit, his tales, he was a trickster, right? His tales were combined with the tales of the rabbit in Africa for Uncle Remus, right? And so Uncle Remus took those stories and combined them. Now, those Uncle Remus stories were the inspiration for Bugs Bunny. So Bugs Bunny and I are related. Yeah. What's up, Doc? Any other questions? Yes, in the back. Ragnarok from Soul Eater. That was a cool part. I didn't have to audition for it. Hey, Soul, how's it going? Whatever. So I was asked to come into this part, and it was this demon, right? And I was like, yes, a demon, because I usually get these cute characters, right? And I was like, this is awesome. And then, a few episodes in, he becomes this chibi thing. Who just sounds like an angry Krillin. Oh, Krona, I hate you. And I realized that's why you cast me. Well, yeah. I was like, oh, I thought you thought of me as a badass demon kind of voice. No. Cute again. Yes.
What's your most favorite show you ever done?
That's hard. I really love doing Kodacha. Do you guys know what Kodacha is? No one in this room knows the show. If you can find it at Funimation or whatever, get it. It's the funniest thing we've ever done. Laura Bailey plays the lead, She plays this little girl named Sana, and I play her teacher, and they have a show based on her class. And it's so cool. And it's this buck-toothed character named Shinjiro, and it's such a fun part to play. I really like playing him, but I don't get to play him very much. I love playing Grandpa Jin on Shin-Chan. Of course, I love playing... Yeah. Yes, it's awesome. Maybe we were born to run. Yeah. Where's the booze? And I like to play in Krillin, of course, and Maes Hughes, and Lupin III. It's hard to pick one.
Hey, do a Destructo disc?
Okay. Didn't I do a Destructo disc? Yeah, okay, I'm not doing it again. How about this? Kame! Hi. Next question. Yes.
What was your least favorite role?
I answered that in the last panel. It's this character that was buying soiled panties from a soiled panty store. I don't even know his name. And it was disgusting, and then he gets gang raped in an alley. Are there any children here today? This is an education. Don't buy soiled panties. What's up, guy? What's your question?
What's it like to be like going to all these different conventions, and what's been your favorite convention to go to?
Oh, this convention, by far. Yeah, right? Woo! No, it's great. I mean, to get to travel on somebody else's dime. You know? And also because most of us come from a theater background, so we're used to getting a response from an audience, laughter and applause. When you're recording in a booth, you don't get that. And even the director is trying hard not to laugh, even if it's the funniest thing he's heard, because he doesn't want to ruin the take, right? So you get nothing. So when we come here, we get our applause and we get our laughter. And so, yeah, it's kind of like, it lets us know how we're doing.
Yay!
Yes, you may applaud. Feed my ego. Yes. Thank you. Stand up, Lauren. Give Lauren some applause.
Oh, me?
Yes, stand up. She's got applause. Yes. Face them. Yes. That's what we live for. We're all attention whores. Any other questions for the attention whore up front? Yes.
You keep saying that you did theater, like actual live theater. What shows have you done in live theater?
Just about. Let's see. Guys and Dolls, and Midsummer Night's Dream, and Henry IV. And, gosh, it's too many to name. One of the coolest shows I ever did was the one called, it was by Paula Vogel. It was called Hot and Throbbing. And it was about a woman who wrote erotic fiction. And sometimes her imagination would play out on the scene. Like we had a girl in a cage dancing and stuff like that. And I played her abusive husband who ends up in the play, ends up killing her at the end. And it was a very, very dark role. And I went to like bars and I started looking for people who I thought were abusive assholes. And I just like look at them and just like follow them around, get an idea how they stand. Like they're hunters, like the whole room is a hunting ground and stuff like that. And by the time I finished that role, I felt so disgusted with it that I didn't even want like looking at myself in the mirror, so I bleached my hair blonde. Yeah, just sort of an exorcism, to get it out of there. And my girlfriend at the time, her mother saw the show, and she didn't even recognize me. And she came up to me afterward, and I went, "Hey, how are you?" She's like, "Good, whatever, you asshole." Weird. And then when she found out who I was, "Oh my God, that's you!" Yeah. So that was good. It was a triumph, even though no one liked me at all. Any other questions?
What
Yes.
do you like doing better, voice or theater?
I like them both for different reasons, but theater is a very... It's a way to really immerse yourself into a character. For 2 hours, you are this character, and even, you try to get into it a little bit beforehand as well. And so it really requires the most focus and sustained focus. So I like the challenge of it. But in voice acting, we get to do so many things, So the variety kind of trumps it in a way.
Yeah, you get to cry, you get to
Yeah.
cry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How did you make the transition from like theater live acting to voice acting?
Well, you know, one of the things I had to do was stop enunciating as much. Because when you're on stage and you don't have, especially if you're not mic'd, like back then you weren't, you had to be able to speak so that people in the back of the room could hear you clearly, right? And that requires a certain amount of projecting. When you're in the booth, you don't have to do that. You can be subtle. And so that took some adjusting at first. They were like, why are you speaking so loudly? But that being said, since I play a lot of over-the-top characters who get to scream a lot, I've blown a lot of mics. It's cool.
I'm guessing directors got mad at you when you were blowing your mics.
No, they love that. What they hate is the method acting. You know, like, I like to do whatever the hell they're doing on the screen, I will do. Even if they got their hand in their pocket like that. Like, that's going to affect the voice. I will be doing that. I will be talking with my hand in my pocket. If they're punching, I'm punching. I've punched so many microphones. That's what they get mad about. Especially in the old days when they used to wear headphones while we were recording. I punched a microphone one time and it like that. And like, any other questions? In the back there. Yes, you. No? Girl? Yeah.
What is the strangest experience you've had at a convention?
Strange. I mentioned this in the last panel. The strangest thing that ever happened to me is also the coolest thing. I was walking by a swimming pool after the con hours, and this beautiful woman in a bikini said, "Oh, you're Maes Hughes." And I said, "Yes, I am." And she flashed me. I was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that." So she flashed me again. And in the water next to her was a friend of hers, and he was like this. And I looked at him and I said, "You've never seen this side of your friend before, have you?" I said, "Son, you owe me." Any other questions? Yes?
What got you interested in theater?
You know, I was really interested in cartoons first. You know, my father used to do cartoon voices all the time. He would do Donald Duck, you know, and he'd come home every day and go, "Hi, Shaggy." And I was 4 at the time, but I watched him, and finally I practiced all day. So when he came home and said, "Hi, Shaggy," I went, "Hi, Daddy." And then he taught me how to do Mickey Mouse, because he did all these voices just for fun, right? And my mother was the one who drew, so she taught me how to draw at like 6. So it was a real interesting childhood. You know, it was all about cartoons. You know, and I was all into doing cartoons, but I didn't think you could make a living at that. But when I got a little bit older, I got into Monty Python, and I started recording Monty Python skits just with me and the microphone, right? And then I got to where I understood the cadence and the rhythm of it, and I started writing my own scripts that were all in Monty Python style. And it was a really good learning experience for me. And a buddy of mine, Tom, we actually met because he liked Monty Python as well. And so we would make our own scripts, and it was a really good learning experience. But I remember the stuff that I did that was not in an English accent was real Texan, because I was raised in Texas amongst people who speak with very thick accents, like my mom and dad talk like this. And I talked like that until I was about 12 years old. Until I got a tape recorder and I started listening to my voice, and I went, wait a minute, people on TV don't talk like that. So I was like, how do they speak? And now I have to fake it to sound like that. But yeah, I realized that if I want to be on television, and that was the goal, I wanted to be on television somehow, then I need to do that. And then I got into high school and started doing theater. And I fell in love with theater right away. Like, I felt there was this ghost on the stage that just moves people around. And I just wanted to be part of that spirit. And then when I fell in love with that, I was like, that was my main goal. I was going to college to be a theater professor. And while I was in school, I met a guy who was drawing his own comic books. And it was called The Sex Gopher from Hell. And it was really funny. It was about a rock band called the Sex Gophers. And so I drew a cover for him, and he went, "Oh, dude, just draw the book." So he and I did these comics together, and we started getting, like, well known in this little college town as the Sex Gopher guys. People would buy us drinks when they found out that we drew the Sex Gophers, right? I went, "Oh, I like this." Well, we kept doing that, and I was still going to school, and then we did a short story called The Atomic Punk. and it was published by Anarch Press. Well, once I got published, I said, okay, forget school. I dropped out of school and just started focusing on comics for 10 years. And my publishers got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I hadn't acted in 10 years, and I started really getting that acting bug. So I decided, I'm going to go back and start doing some theater again. And I did theater for about 2 years, and then that was when Funimation moved to Texas and had auditions, and then I auditioned for Dragon Ball Z. So that's a very long answer to your question, but that's how I got into it. Yeah. Yeah.
When you're making comics, how do you get publishers to know you?
If you want to get a publisher to recognize you, the first thing you want to focus on, the main thing you want to focus on is the synopsis. Do you know what a synopsis is?
Yes.
If you don't know, it's a short paragraph that basically describes the book. And it needs to read like a preview to a movie, right? Like in a world where one voice actor stands on a stage, sitting on the table, talking to an audience, Sonny Strait stands alone, that kind of thing, right? But it's got to be really captivating. It's got to be the most interesting thing you write, because that's going to sell your book to a publisher. So make that your main focus. That's how you get published. Yeah. Are we out of time? Thank you guys so much for showing up. Bye.
Take care,